Welcome you to the Middleton City Hall, and it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting of Middleton Plan Commission for November 27th, 2018 to order. The first item on the agenda is the roll call.
Hubbard.
Here.
Paulson.
Here.
Farrar.
Yeah.
Furter.
Here.
Murray.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
And Commissioner Dan Ramsey is absent.
Okay. So there's no public hearing there. I don't know why that's there. So
What's that?
public hearing.
That's just a standing in case there's a
Okay.
public hearing. You're gonna-
All right. So the moving on to the agenda, the first item is the minutes. Need a motion to approve.
Move approval.
Can I ask a question on them? The minutes can, do you want to get a vote?
Yes, yes.
Vote first?
No.
Second.
I think in minutes, I thought there was some issue there, right?
Kurt, are you seconding? Did I?
Yes.
Okay.
There was something I read.
If the city council referred the Parmentus project to the staff, does that mean that it'll come back to the plan commission?
I would, well, I will let the staff answer this question. That's their job, so would it come to
And I
them?
wasn't at that meeting. Can I refer to Abby? Do you want the minutes?
I don't think that the council did refer it back to Plan Commission, but I could be wrong about that. They had several questions, comments, and suggestions, and they recommended that staff continue to negotiate with both of the developers at this point. Our plan is to take a recommendation to the Common Council next week for a list of questions that we would like each developer to answer. And we'd also like each developer to give us their final proposal, up to 3 concepts per developer, because they keep changing. And so we want to know what's the final offer so that we can actually compare. So that will, our recommendation for how we want to proceed with that will go to the council next week. And then we wouldn't expect for it to be back on the council agenda until January. So if the plan commission wanted to see the responses and the finals from each of the developers, we could bring it back here first.
I think we could actually, since it involved the design, and that was really one of your questions too, and it's, we could bring it back here. We could even ask, even without city council referring back, that
Well-
because it is the design component here, which is
Well,
involved.
we
so-
are taking it regardless to the city council on December, I think it's 4th, that they're meeting. So we would like to outline a timeline for how we would proceed, that it would move forward, and we could include in that timeline for it to stop back at PC for a recommendation.
I would like it to come back here if it can.
Okay. We will,
So,
that part of the timeline.
so do you want to make that added
What-
here to the?
And we don't have an agenda item before us to.
No,
deal
but
with.
could we add to the, as a modification to the minutes, amend it?
I don't know.
What?
Minutes are a reflection of what was just.
No, I think, okay, all right, so all in favor
Oh, wait,
of?
I do have a comment on the minutes.
Okay.
It's the first time ever I've noticed something that, on page 2, we're just talking about what City Administrator Mike Davis said. It reflects him as saying housing could work. Right?
Housing could work.
My sense of what he was saying is different. That what he said was that staff in their memo expected that you would see housing on the site.
That's what I had thought.
That's what he said. So it's not that it could work, it's that staff in their analysis expected that it would be a proposal for housing.
Well, that, what
So, I mean,
was-
that's reflects what he said, so I just wanted the minutes to be,
Oh, right, yep.
so if we could propose that staff has reviewed the redevelopment potential and for the site and expected a proposal of housing. Because one says, yeah,
Was.
the website's working now if you want to try to,
Oh, is it working? Okay, great.
it's on my phone, it's working, but.
So you want that paragraph, how do you want that paragraph to read?
That City Administrator Mike Davis stated that staff has reviewed the redevelopment potential for the site and that staff expected proposals to involve housing.
But not, what was the RFP? RFP was only housing?
No, the
I didn't-
RFP was open, but that the staff memo said that they expected housing. So what we're addressing is the question that some people, and including George in the Middleton Review, were surprised that we didn't get commercial or office properties or retail. But I think the staff analysis and people who know real estate would expect that those are not gonna generate enough interest on that site. That the proposal you're going to get is going to be housing. That was known ahead of time in the staff, report.
I think part of the problem why we didn't get so many responses was that we wanted the money up front, and we are changing that now, and that is, if we were to go back now and say that we are willing to do that, you will have a lot more proposals. I think, I'm
I-
quite certain of it, that this was probably one of the things. And also, you know, if we were to say that we are, I don't approve that. I mean, once you spend $2.63 million and you don't even know what you want to do with that site, I mean, that's really not that good. And and after spending that money, having RFP that, you know, we are going to get that money upfront, and now we are changing that altogether, that's really not the case. So if that's what we're going to do, we better open this for.
This item isn't on the agenda and neither of the developers are here, so I think we should
Yeah,
probably.
okay.
It was just on amending the minutes.
Thanks, Abby, I was about to reiterate that.
Okay,
Tried some
well,
of
all
it.
right, but I guess we need to discuss that at some stage, so.
So what I have recorded here is that the sentence, if I understand, Kurt, you were making that as
Yep. As an amendment.
friendly amendment, perhaps, if Leaf accepts it, it would read, Davis stated that the staff has reviewed the redevelopment potential for the site, and that staff expected proposals to involve housing. That's how I
Yes.
heard you read that. Is that acceptable?
That's
to you?
good, yep.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. Let's move on to the next big
Are
item.
you able to pull it up?
Ron, you want to say anything? So he has been, he came head of, he was the second one in the room here, so,
I'd rather be 10 minutes early than 1 minute late.
yes.
Yep.
So this is the Star Barbecue and Karaoke on
Mike?
3112 Parmenter Street. And this is the same place with its Fitzgerald, so it's changing the name and what they will be doing there, so.
Still not coming up for me, but if, I think I can just pull it up with using the PC number if you just hold tight for just a minute. 1366.
I can give a little background. So,
Okay, all
so
right.
this is as the mayor mentioned, this is the former Fitzgerald site. The building, in order to use the second floor, the building inspector, in consultation with the state building code, determined that there was a need for a secondary means of egress. And what they're proposing, you can see it now on your screen, is a small addition on the south side of the building. So it would be the narrow side facing you where you see the windows. That would face Parmenter Street. And so it would be in addition to the building on the south side, extending the roof line out a little bit. I think it was 12 feet if I remember right. And we recommend approval of the design change.
So moved.
Seconded.
We looked at those, Ron, they are really done well. So any other questions or comments? Yes,
It just occurred to me that since you're already extending, you've got this, what is that, like a power?
Air conditioner.
That's a
air
freezer,
conditioner?
that's a freezer.
That's a freezer?
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you screen that at all? I mean, that's,
What you really don't see in that picture there, well, you kind of,
Okay.
there's a whole bunch of electrical,
yeah,
intake vents. All of those will be covered up by this addition. Those are the real eyesore out there right
yeah,
now.
I was just wondering if you can screen that freezer a little, or,
Like, try to put some plantings there or something. It's mostly blacktop now,
yeah.
This is where the drive-through used to be?
exactly.
Are you blocking that altogether now?
We're not gonna be using a drive-up.
So are you blocking it then? You're
I don't know if
expanding
he's
into it?
physically blocking it, because he still has, service lane there for deliveries and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't wanna make it a condition of the approval, but if you can just recommend some screening on the,
I'll bring it up with the owner.
I mean, even a fence. Usually in commercial districts, large things like air conditioners, coolers, or trash receptacles are screened, so.
Exactly.
You can make that a condition if you want. I don't know why.
Can we make it a condition of the?
Sure.
Then I'll make that.
Just so I understand, what you're asking to be screened is the gray area?
Well,
the-
I mean, I'm trying to remember,
The height of
as you
that is-
go towards Culvers, let's choose a landmark. You're heading west? On Permit, no, you're heading south.
This is the south side, right?
Yeah, you're heading south.
This extension is going out towards Culvers, which is
There is
south.
the adjoining property to the south has a fence already?
No, it's a car lot.
It's a car lot.
Do you have the site plan, Abby? Let me see here.
While we wait for
I mean,
that,
we can just suggest,
To see here, but if you
some-
go down lower, I
yeah.
think you'll.
And north is, yep.
here's the site plan.
Oh, there we go.
I know where you are, yep.
I mean, I don't wanna block any delivery trucks,
It's a tight space.
delivery trucks aren't coming in on the west side of the parcel. They're coming in there.
Oh, they drive around.
They drive around.
They drive
So nobody's coming through there.
No.
And the cooler, is that located between the black rectangle, that's the addition?
Yeah, I don't show it on the site plan.
Okay.
It's actually between this is the,
Exactly, that's where the pictures would.
Oh,
How
okay.
tall is that cooler? How tall is that?
8 feet.
See, this fence is not going to cover that.
Yeah, that's not gonna cover it. Okay. And you're driving trucks through there anyway, but
Right.
it's worth a shot.
And we're assuming that the materials are just a continuation of the existing?
Yes.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Will the roof be changed to slope out to the edge of the addition?
There's a hip roof there now. We'll put a hip roof on this.
Okay.
Do you know when he's planning to open? Cause he lost his liquor license in June, right?
It's the owner's theory of business. I don't want to even begin to understand. He allowed his liquor license to expire.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, there's
He could have opened up the place the day he bought it.
no discernible improvements or work on the property in the last 6 months.
Oh, it's all inside because most of it's mechanical.
Yeah,
We had,
I'm waiting for my barbecues.
I thought you were going for karaoke.
Not the karaoke, no, that would be a public nuisance. That would not. No. Okay,
Okay, any,
no longer any mention of.
no longer
of the-
screening,
No, no
yeah, it's not gonna work.
okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, so all those in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, so you can go on to your planning, the stairs, and, all right, wonderful. See you, Ron.
Thank you.
Ron has been here from the 70s, so he has seen that place change all those hands, so. Okay, we are on to a big thing now. The University Avenue, Cayuga Park reconstruction sidewalk on north side of the street. We are only looking at only at the sidewalk.
Mark,
That's
what's
all.
the PC number on this agenda item?
It's actually a project number 16-124.
At the very least, could we pull up DCI maps or some aerial
Reference?
reference? I mean, all of us know the site, but,
So in your, I sent to you last night a memo, which I edited following the Public Works Committee meeting. Chief Harris is here tonight too. I'm sure he'll want to address the commission as well. The reason this is before you is because the Public Works Committee has endorsed a design for the roadway that involves widening the road, which was always part of the plan at Parmenter and University, widening the road so that we can have left turn lanes at Parmenter, westbound and eastbound. The city, a couple of years ago, made the decision to widen the road on the north side of University instead of going south into Roman Candle And the primary factor was cost. That was and the desire to preserve the building to the
Well,
south.
they were also not selling it in any case, I mean,
Well, but the city could have gone through that process, but due to cost and the desire to keep that building, the city decided to go north. In the course of trying to design the road, the need for land from St. Bernard's Church and the former gas station that's now, the property is now owned by Quick Trip, which of course is closed. And to widen the road, those properties have significant land acquisition, but there's also a small extension of the roadway to the west that doesn't require land acquisition to accommodate the taper that's needed to get around these turn lanes. It doesn't require land acquisition, but it comes at the expense of removing sidewalk if no land is acquired. And so the Public Works Committee yesterday and then also in October, yesterday they reiterated the position they took in October, which was they wanted to see gradual road tapers instead of a more pronounced, sharper taper, which they consider to be less safe, which I agree with. They want a more gradual taper, which means it takes up more of the existing right-of-way that's there. Are you able to pull up the DCI map? Or
You need
can't
to tell me
remember?
which file to pull
No,
up.
DCI map is what I think Kurt was asking.
Oh,
or just
I
some-
just thought the plans would be
Yeah,
better.
the plans would be better.
Oh,
And I
okay.
have it open, I just don't know which item. This is in the project file and then under
Yeah,
design.
I would do the top one that's dated 11/20.
Yeah, I don't,
well, there were three.
I'm on the city's Wi-Fi and I'm able to pull up all the agendas, so
All
I'm
the
not sure
attachments?
what's.
Well, there were three plans.
So there were three alternatives. So here's
Yes.
one, option A. So the way the alternatives vary is by how significantly, how sharp that taper is. And Public Works Committee chose the option that's more gradual, which you see here, option A. And that is able to stay within the existing right-of-way. In other words, no land is necessary to be acquired from the fire district. However, that comes at the expense of the sidewalk that's there today. And so the Public Works Committee endorsed this option to bring the road closer to the fire district, but at the expense of sidewalk. And that was something I felt needed to be flagged for the Plan Commission because we, as a commission, you as a commission, us as staff, determine which roads we want to have sidewalk. So we deal with such pedestrian issues.
Yeah, so I went to the,
It's my job.
yeah, so I went to the fire station today and spent about half hour to 45 minutes with Aaron and one of his battalion chiefs. And so I really have a very good feeling of what's really needed there. So now you have a sidewalk, which is which is essentially going to their main entrance there for the fire district. And then there's a small part of it which is the sidewalk to nowhere. It goes up to the traffic light, but that's it. So it's just, so now, under if you were to look under proposal or the option A,
No.
which is the best option according to the Public Works Committee, the sidewalk goes
Yep.
only up to the parking lot. And we have probably one of the best fire station in whole state, and they have a set of a sidewalk on the east side of the building, and the proposed sidewalk does not even go and meet that sidewalk there, which really is, doesn't make sense at all, which is absurd. So I think what I like to see is that this, and Aaron agrees that, and city should pay for it, that, this sidewalk on the north side should go up to the sidewalk on the east side of the fire station. And whether you have a sidewalk for the rest of it or not, it really doesn't matter to me at all, because it's not really, even the sidewalk which is there, it goes only to the fire station. It's not going anywhere else at all. I don't even know why it was there. perhaps it was there for, for the fire company here, so that's what I would like to see, that, that the sidewalk on the north side should go up to, up to the east side,
Sidewalk on the
of
north
fire
side of
station.
the
Just
Yes.
to elaborate, I can
Yes.
clarify this. So exactly what Abby is pointing out, the arrow, where she
Yes,
has her arrow.
exactly.
That part right there, that part along University is what would be lost with the street widening that's endorsed by the Public Works Committee.
Could you show me what part again?
Like, right there,
there.
exactly
Is
there.
that it?
And that's
Okay.
about
That's
40
all that would be
feet.
lost, or is,
That's what would be lost,
plus
because that's the only
all this.
part that it needs to be widened. That's where the taper still exists. West of the large fire station apron, the driveway, west of that is untouched by this project.
Oh,
Interestingly, that sidewalk to the west isn't even located within the right-of-way. That's already located on fire district property, which is something I discovered
Yep.
only in the last few days.
property line.
So we're talking just about the piece that's in the blacktop, right?
East
Just
of
the
the
piece of-
driveway, correct.
Yes.
Piece that's in the
Yeah,
blacktop.
and to avoid taking right-of-way, the project engineers were recommending just terminating the sidewalk at the parking lot driveway, which
Right.
also serves as a municipal lot. And I
I
have
would-
concerns with that for the same reason that the mayor just mentioned.
Wait.
Go ahead.
I mean, I don't even know that why the engineer was, it's absolutely absurd. I
widening
mean,
what?
it's absurd not to take this sidewalk up to the fire station. We spent, it's $7 or $8 million building, and it's one of the best fire station we have probably in the whole state, and then you don't have a sidewalk going there. I
Well,
mean,
and-
how could you even think of not doing it? This is just mind-boggling.
And,
Well,
and if someone's walking from the east side, if they walk on the sidewalk that,
Yeah.
we're
If they-
suggesting, past the municipal parking lot, they would walk across the apron of the fire district
No,
and pick up,
part of it will be gone, now,
But no, so-
now you can walk up to there, but if, under option A, and the sidewalk only goes up to the parking lot and
Right.
not any further.
but, so today, when you're walking on the sidewalk,
Mm-hmm.
you're in essence, you walk on what looks like you're part of the apron, but you're part of the sidewalk, because it's the
Yep.
same material.
There is actually
And then you
sidewalk
walk
there.
through
Mm-hmm.
to the west side and would connect to the planned path. So,
and to the main entrance to the fire station, which is.
right,
right
yes,
there.
yes, and yeah. So someone could, but under the new proposal, if we say we want to extend the sidewalk, then as the road juts up, it would, in essence, the sidewalk would go very close to the municipal parking lot, over to the edge of the fire district's apron, and stop, and a person could walk across the apron in a sidewalk-ish thing, and then pick up the sidewalk again on the west side.
I'm okay with that, but the
But
chief
it's-
may want to comment
The,
on
the
that.
question is that, I mean, right now, it's clearly visual that you're walking on a sidewalk that's crossing someone's driveway. This happens in residential areas too, right?
I think our
Would
part,
it be, would it look like a sidewalk? Would it be an easement? I don't know what it, you have to use the mic for the,
Across the apron.
yeah.
no,
Goes
but
across.
You're
we got-
crossing the apron, you're not crossing a
But we
sidewalk.
got two issues first. One is that extending this sidewalk so that it at least goes up to close to the apron. Right now, it doesn't.
Right.
And
I was walking it this morning as well. And
Oh, you did
I-
too?
I can't see why we're even debating this. This is a building in downtown
Yeah,
Middleton, right?
you need a
Ought to have a
sidewalk.
sidewalk.
Yeah,
oh, well,
Ought
not
to be
only
a
that,
si- There ought to be sidewalk there.
yes, okay, all right,
Sidewalk ought to go up as far as the apron to the fire station.
Yeah.
absolutely.
and
I
then,
think,
and then in essence, someone would walk across the apron.
If anybody
And
wants to walk
presumably-
across the
keeps going.
apron, they can walk across the
Well-
apron, beyond there.
But, because they want to connect to the
they
planned
need to
bike
get-
path or bike across.
And the entrance.
Here to get
And
to
they
the
want to get to the
entrance,
fire
right.
entrance.
Yeah.
And I will leave it up to the fire company, whatever they want to do with this, but I would like, we have the best fire station probably in the whole state. Many people have called it Taj Mahal, and Taj Mahal should at least have a sidewalk going up to it. So, and I cannot really understand that how in the world this, somebody could propose that and stop it, that sidewalk at where they are doing it.
Did Public
By
Works
By
say,
that argument, you should go all the way to the entrance to the fire station.
They already have that,
No, you walk across the apron.
Should be,
right
that
now you
is-
walk across a sidewalk,
should be obvious it's a sidewalk.
It should be obvious it's a sidewalk.
different,
Can be different material, whatever, but you're gonna have a complete street there, period. You- it's
yeah.
just- I
Did-
agree.
Did Public Works say
David.
that they didn't want sidewalks?
I think the issue is, and I
I'm
defer
trying to understand what the issue is.
I defer to Aaron here. I wasn't involved early on in this until, I only got wind of this a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now, right before I left the country for a vacation. And I tried to find out from Aaron what was going on and found out that he too had had limited involvement in the planning for this. And Aaron and I had miscommunicated about it a little bit. I didn't fully understand where he was coming from, but I think we actually have a lot of common view on this now. Aaron's concern, and he's here, I don't mean to, but you're not coming up to the mic, so I think you're just allowing me to state your concern. Aaron's concern, first and foremost, has been safety. Safety of his personnel and safety of the building.
and
The
it,
issue.
and it should be.
Safety of the
Should be.
pedestrians.
Right.
And safety of the pedestrians
It's-
with
well, right.
large vehicles coming in and
Just
out.
safety, and it should be. So the issue, though, that relates to the safety issue and also the ability to make turning maneuvers in that apron is linked to that roadway being moved closer to his building. That is actually what is the fundamental concern. And he has voiced that, and the Public Works Committee has still decided to bring the roadway closer. And I don't object to that. I think the idea of a more gradual taper is entirely appropriate. But that is what has the bigger impact in terms of bringing
I'm
the
not so sure
roadway.
about that, Mark.
You're not so sure about what?
Taper.
The longer taper. You're in an urban setting, if you can slow that traffic down, I think it's a good
Because
I
idea.
know.
the design speed is 35, but the posted speed is 30, and the smaller taper is a 30-mile-an-hour taper, not a
But-
30. So they're designing the taper for a speed.
But I would
It's-
point you to Parmenter Street immediately east of here. We put in a fairly sharp taper. It's actually right at the top of the photo here. You can barely see it. There's a red car. It's on the east side of that. You can see
Yeah,
there's a
that
taper
taper.
there. That is sharper.
Huh?
And people are crossing that. It's paint in this case. They're
I
crossing
mean,
that
we
all
need
the
to put
time.
more than paint there, Mark.
Oh,
It's an
I-
urban street.
We want to
okay?
slow down the traffic. I mean, it
This
feels
is-
like to us that Public Works is trying to
Move cars
move
as
cars
fast
as
as
fast as
they can.
possible and to
through-
hell
through
with
it.
everybody
It's-
else and pedestrians.
That's not how it
And
works.
I'm not gonna argue that that is their objective. I'm just
This
saying
works.
that,
We're in an urban
that
setting.
they're trying to minimize,
Pedestrians
they're
have
trying to
just as much
minimize
right.
with people distracted when they're driving, whether it's the radio or phone or whatever, they're trying to minimize, they're trying to make it what they feel as safe as possible. And I understand, and the way you do that is you have
Safe
things that are
safe
straight.
and as fast as possible.
Yeah, they
That's
want to
what
make
they're
it.
going
They
after.
want to make it safe at a fast speed, and one way to make it safer is to slow down the
I thought there
cars.
were two issues. One was that taper and the other was the storage, that how many cars will be stored by option B and B and C.
I mean, at some level, we're expressing our displeasure with the Public Works, but we have no authority to say anything about it.
Well, should we have a joint meeting with them?
Well, ultimately, it's a council.
It's council's
No,
decision.
no, but we can have a joint meeting with Public Works.
But
Can I ask a question about?
Yes, David.
about the apron? How much of the apron is being eaten up by the taper?
I wanna say 5 feet,
Sorry?
yeah, 5
On
feet.
the
Papering.
east side?
On the southeast corner.
No, it does not eat the taper. It eats 5 feet from the curb up to the part of the sidewalk. Part of the sidewalk which is still there still remains.
Okay.
So it doesn't go into the taper part. So now, since this road is still owned by the county, so part of the county right of way or whatever you call is still there, so.
Is it
Well-
5.5 feet from the edge of the
No,
property
5.5
line to the
feet
north?
From the travel lane.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
so
It
what's
shows on the
being
plan.
taken is the right of way,
No,
and you
No,
currently have your
it's gonna involve.
apron
a
in the right of
redesign.
way, but
It's gonna involve a redesign of their driveway apron, and by apron, the ramp, is what I mean by the apron. You know, the part between the sidewalk and the street.
sidewalk.
Yeah.
Right.
everything above the yellow line, which is very faint here, is the property line.
The property line.
Everything from there to the north, and for that matter, including the sidewalk that you see to the south of it, is flat. The part that's sloped is between the sidewalk and the street. That sloped part and a portion of the sidewalk is going to be affected by the taper. So that's going to be rebuilt.
And it becomes a street, basically.
It becomes part of the street, right, right. But what they're doing is because there was a concern about acquiring right-of-way from the fire district, which, as I understand, was a concern that the chief had, and the fire company had raised, they thought, okay, well, we can keep this all within the existing street right-of-way, but unfortunately, that comes at the expense of losing the sidewalk, which is what.
Okay, so.
But
let
the
me-
sidewalk would then be, in essence, eliminated, but if we want it, it'd be shifted north and then connect with the
Yeah, you
apron.
gotta buy
But
some
know where
permission
the
to do
property
this.
line is. The property line is by the arrow there, to the east a little bit, right there.
This is city property.
That's,
This
to the
area.
north of that is fire district property.
Yeah, so we'd have to,
Buy some stuff.
So where the black,
Okay, just one. Yeah,
Well, that's, well.
What'd you say, Aaron?
Have to. You know, it's public, it's for public use,
it'd be
What's the
just a small
condemnation?
corner, yeah.
it's no problem.
okay, David, you had a question?
so where the blacktop is in the parking lot,
Mhm.
how much of that is going to be eaten by the roadway?
None.
I wouldn't say that. I haven't focused on that, but I would suspect that that first parking stall could be
Yeah.
affected.
And this parking area here is
So
owned
did-
by the
So did they
CDA.
buy real estate, or is the city giving real estate for this project then?
Uh,
Because that's on the other
CDA?
side of the property line.
no, that's owned by the CDA.
Oh, I understand that.
And I don't know. I don't know. The CDA would, CDA should be paid. I'm just kidding. Yes,
Wait, so part of the parking lot is actually owned by the fire district? One
This portion.
row.
yeah.
That's where I've always gotten
That-
confused.
that's
'cause
by-
It looks like the same parking lot, but different people own it.
Who actually owns University Avenue?
County.
County. So they can buy it from the city, right?
Buy it from the city or for the
Yeah.
city?
Whatever,
Oh, I see
whatever
what you
they're,
mean.
You know,
whatever,
I
whatever
think-
they're going across that yellow line, they should be purchasing that from the city.
the
I
city.
think actually I like that because,
I don't think they are going across that yellow line.
Okay, well, if they're not, then they
Well,
don't need to.
no, they are going
No,
across
they
it.
are.
To retain the sidewalk, they would have to.
they are, I think,
Sidewalk is in the public realm, then they're going across, that's going across the yellow line.
so Abby, let's find out
Property.
that how much money
But-
we can get from
Okay,
county.
so,
So-
but my question
Well-
was the street, who owns the street? And who owns the street may be different than who owns the sidewalk.
The county, the street is under the county's jurisdiction, but the county is not interested in improving the street. So because the city had the interest of adding the left turn lane, this is fully being, the intersection
city
portion
action?
of the project,
Yes.
the intersection portion is all being paid for by the city, but the county crews are doing most of the work. So we're paying less for the
Okay.
construction costs because the county crews are gonna take it on as part of phase 2 of University Avenue. But the costs for the intersection improvement are all being borne by the city, and it's TIF 3 funded. And this actually is the new property line. The city did acquire this piece here.
Yeah,
And of course, we're gonna have to take the building down. And we also have proceeded to acquire property here from
Right
St.
of way.
Bernard's. Yeah, this is right of way. This is city
The new
Owned.
right-of-way. Yep.
right of way now.
So that line really should be extended.
Yes.
Correct. And that shows that it will cut into that parking space that we were talking about.
Yeah, so we will, the CDA is going to lose probably a couple of parking stalls in this.
Yes.
Okay.
And if that line is extended, it's gonna be extended all the way west to the,
Well, that's where
Beltline.
Chief Harris, I
No,
think,
up- well-
it would go to that first yellow line.
That's it,
oh,
yeah.
okay.
But,
No, it certainly should go to the footpath that goes north-south.
No, we can have a, sidewalk
Which
going
footpath?
there, but
Wait.
this is
mean
the
this?
property line, so that,
This
No,
is the
no,
front
no.
door, though.
No, the one on the other side,
Oh.
it's definitely got to go there.
Well, that's a footpath.
Or to the apron.
you mean the sidewalk?
The sidewalk has got
Yes.
to go to the apron.
Yes,
Now,
I agree with you, so.
the question then is, should it go to the front door of the fire station?
Is there any other way to get, for a member of the public to get into the fire station?
Yes,
Okay. Is it this door?
yes.
There's like a bell or something they can ring and then people,
And that's, I think, what. Yeah, go ahead.
Obviously, I think a lot of misconception in a number of different things. This is the first time we've talked last night to the Public Works. A lot of these decisions, again, were made, that's kind of the opposition that I've had to make that clear, that is just communication. Ask us, got our telephone numbers, we got emails. You know.
We know where you are.
I actually found out that,
Yeah, we're in that building. So,
and their telephone works, so.
So, I agree with the mayor, what Abby was just pointing out, we need to get, the public to that door safely. Where the sidewalk is now, I would not let my kids go out there, I do not go out there. We've changed, if you go directly in front of our monument in the front, of the station, that used to be grass, that has actually been replaced with concrete, because of the fact that curbed driveway of that distance, with people texting and driving at the speeds in which now I would agree that that's going to be expedited with the widening of the road. Our concern would be anybody walking along that path, there's no bumpers for the cars to not run them over. And so I agree, getting them to the east side of our building, signs say stop, not safe to continue across the apron, head north to our front door, and to the side door to be able to buzz them in. The front entrance for all the deliveries and general business that happens during the day comes to the front and already has sidewalk to the north. The other sidewalk is unused. People walk to that corner and it goes nowhere. And they get stranded on the,
Today, yeah.
in the median there. But again, I agree. East side of our building, I would agree with Mr. Reed, we need to get them to that point, but I would stop them. I would not walk them across the apron, because people drive right into that sea of concrete every day.
Because,
Just by mistake, thinking that they're,
because it's not curbed.
They're doing other things and they
Yeah.
veer off.
it's
and
not curbed,
they're
and
way
you
off.
can't make it curbed because you got the
Right.
trucks.
But how's that any different than a pedestrian crossing a wide street? You know, how wide is that apron?
I
Aaron?
don't know the difference, I just know what I see there every day.
Right, but I mean, we have pedestrians crossing streets
So
all
we've
the
got a
time.
problem.
Yeah,
Can you
but look
zoom
at-
back a little bit?
Look at it
Already got a
zoom
problem.
out.
Zoom out a little bit?
Okay, one person at a time. Now we got a lot of conversations going. So yes, David, you had some questions.
Just to mark, look at it in relation to the width of University Ave. I mean, it is twice, 1.5 times at least, the width of
About 100
University
feet.
Ave. 100 feet, there you go.
Yeah, but the University Avenue right-of-way is gonna be 100 feet, but the width of the pavement is,
Right, it's
with-
less than that. So it's a very
twice.
wide crossing.
So, I guess what I'm hearing
Yes, please.
from the chief is that we already have an existing problem with vehicles not being able to stay on the road.
So they're coming here and then they're
So,
going.
in this design, I hope that Public Works is taking that into account and resolving or solving that problem as well. Not sure how it's gonna get solved, but it needs to get solved if that's really a problem.
And I agree, one of our concerns that we've been able to address in talking to the engineer, since we've been brought into this discussion, is we were struck twice when our facility was there before. One resulting in the death of an individual, and several firefighters to this day having issues with having to deal with, having to dive out of the way of a car crashing into, not onto the pad, in through the front doors of our structure in both cases.
This is in the new building? This is the new building or the
Well,
old?
the old building, which
Okay,
was
okay.
closer to the,
Which is reason
Yeah,
why
why
we
you moved
set
it
the
back.
building back,
yeah.
away from the roadway, so that we could train on the front apron, we could operate and without fear of being struck. Number one concern that we've voiced all along, hence the opposition of the fire commission and our firefighters and myself, that we do not want the roadway, one, to speed up, and two, to move closer to that structure.
So just to ask a probably silly question, because I'm sure there's an obvious answer, but why do you think it is that this building has been struck, but yet all these other buildings all along University are really close to the
They
road?
have bumpers.
Because they've got curbs.
Oh, okay,
Has the new
Lack of
building
curb.
been struck?
No.
because it's set back.
So am I right in thinking that option 2 and perhaps option 3, I can't see it on B and C, that they would not take anything beyond the blacktop? The apron, the apron.
Correct.
The apron would be correct, would stay
No,
the same.
one of the options takes 4 feet of the right of way rather than 5.5 feet. The 30-mile-an-hour taper, right, took 4 feet.
From the apron into the fire station.
Yeah. Option
Option
figure
A?
2, or
Oh,
option 2,
option two.
option B. That one, no, actually, it's option C, I'm sorry.
I do want to address why you're.
I think I'm right. That takes only 4 feet of the fire district property?
No, that doesn't seem to take,
Or does it take any?
yeah, that doesn't seem to take maybe a few inches or something, if that all.
And the advantage there is because people are gonna be tapering south, fire properties north, would they be less likely to enter your driveway?
Well, the accidents came from the west, I think Aaron told me.
I think one comes from each direction.
Oh, so 10 years ago, the incidents happened in the same year.
Wow.
Involved errant drivers, I know.
I mean,
It-
yeah,
it
I
could have
wouldn't
happened-
walk on that sidewalk. It's crazy.
Well, I think,
Address Mr. Hubbard's question before, or statement, about how are they going to address it? So far, we've been told that we could add bollards on either end to try to lessen the possibility. But again, our opposition is moving it closer.
Just to try and help forge a direction here, I heard earlier, Kurt, and I think Leaf mentioned it too, that having a sharper taper would be more fitting for an urban setting. I'm not here to recommend that. I'm just pointing out that if that option is selected, then that actually meshes with what the chief is saying in terms of not wanting the road to be closer to.
And it doesn't take away the sidewalk.
Right, right. But
But-
I want to emphasize the Public Works Committee has strongly said they don't favor that, so I just
no,
want
and I can understand that, why they would,
yeah.
because that's their nature, is to move cars. Cars are superior to everything else out there, and so they want to move them through the space as quickly as possible. But that's not how things work in a urban area where we're trying to create complete streets. We're trying to create an urban section here. This is no longer the section where we speed up when we're heading out of town. This is still in Middleton, and Middleton has built up to the west. So this should become more, the nature of it should be more urban.
I think I would agree with you as long as it doesn't affect the number of cars stored there, which can make a left turn. I thought that was one of the issues as well. You know, what do you think if we do have a meeting with the Public Works? I mean, what is there to, I mean, wouldn't that make sense, or at least maybe have this, or do you think this is their purview and?
I mean, or we can have a motion reflecting our opinion, and the ultimate decision is city council.
I think that's the way to go.
Okay,
Can
I mean,
clarify?
can we
Jennifer.
make a motion that tells Public Works to
The option
go
C,
fly a kite?
is it indeed true that no sidewalk, that there would be no acquisition of the fire department land? I mean, I'm looking at your option C, and it appears to me that the sidewalk is ending
Yeah.
near the blacktop of the parking lot,
Halfway
just to
along
the
it.
east of the fire department.
Can you show that on the map?
Yeah, I guess I can see that they don't show the sidewalk even going to the fire
You want
station.
it on,
Oh, no, I see it.
okay, you can see it, okay.
Oops, I'm sorry.
on the plan there.
But we can, Jennifer, we can recommend that.
We could recommend it.
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure I understand option C. because we're-
Option C needs to include a full sidewalk all the way out to to the
Yeah.
west.
And the reason we want the sidewalk to the west is there's a planned bike path
Crosswalk.
and crosswalk there.
Well, I don't think I was there, and I don't think having a crosswalk there will be a good idea at all. So right now, the,
Put flashers up.
I mean-
I'm,
Gotta make it urban.
Someday it might be though.
we want to preserve that possibility,
Yeah.
Yes.
even put in,
well, you have to look at that.
are there signals at that intersection?
Yes.
Yeah.
But
So-
not to cross there.
Yeah.
That is not a crosswalk.
There's a crosswalk on the south
Not-
leg.
Yes.
Right.
If you were to look at that intersection, it's very busy and very complex.
Yep.
And putting a,
Not designed very well.
And the
Yeah.
goal is to slow down the traffic.
Yep. Exactly.
well, you also don't want to congest this area there where there's just, people are sitting.
Congestion is a great traffic control device.
Well, but how about the carbon footprint? I mean, do you really want them to be spewing out unless they all have the Priuses or?
Make it-
Yeah,
if
we're
you
gonna
make
have
it-
electric cars.
If you make it easier for people to drive, they drive more. If you congest it, they drive less.
Or find alternate routes.
I go to the campus, and when I'm going at 5 o'clock, I have to make sure that I start from here 40 minutes ahead.
Yep.
And I'm right from the campus drive, from that Farley Avenue, it makes me 15 minutes to go up to that intersection of
Yeah.
University Avenue. So do we want the same thing here? I mean, these
we're
are not
talking about
easy choices, but, so sometimes I have thought that I will take the Middle Point Road rather than taking the University Avenue because, I end up spending about 20 minutes more than I normally would.
There are many people that would say, only 40 minutes? How wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, that's in California.
Point, David.
I mean, we don't wanna make this like a suburban arterial where we're just flushing cars through as fast as possible. That's not good for safety, that's not good for economic development, that's not good for anybody.
But remember, you got, when I came here in 82, there were no traffic lights. There was no traffic light on Parmenter, there was no traffic light on Cayuga, there was no traffic light on the Beltline. And from my house to my work at Agri-City, 5 minutes. And I had only one stop sign that was at Parmenter.
Isn't development wonderful?
But there are traffic signals at Parmenter Street and University Ave.
Yeah,
So traffic will be coming through in a pulse
yeah.
there. So the traffic engineers can figure out how to use that in a traffic way, in a safety way at the exit from the freeway. I mean,
This intersection is no worse than the intersection of Allen and Century, which is
Yeah.
obviously not an ideal intersection either for pedestrians, but
And a lot of people use,
A lot of
cross
people
it
use it.
on foot,
Yeah.
Well,
But I'm with Leaf, we wanna put a marker down that says, complete streets means that we don't just automatically prioritize fast, free-flowing vehicle traffic all the time, everywhere.
okay, are you ready? Is somebody ready to make a motion then?
Sure, I'll make that motion.
Okay.
What's the
What's the
motion?
motion?
We're gonna go with options, we would recommend option C, which will include a sidewalk all the way across there.
option C with sidewalk.
all the way to the entrance to
All
the
the way
fire
to the
station.
proposed path.
Yep.
So that's to the west of the station.
Yes.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Have you actually gone there to that intersection and spent 10 minutes?
Yes, I crossed there.
You crossed there?
I've walked there many times.
No, you go to the intersection of Cayuga and University?
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't have, but I did.
Oh, you actually crossed there?
I have to.
On foot. I was
Wow,
actually jogging.
wow, I wouldn't, so, yes, Aaron?
Done quickly.
I ran pretty fast.
This is another point that came up in light of all
Mike.
of this.
You want to go to the mic because they're recording it, yeah.
It's just
For
for
the
recording
video.
purposes, yeah.
I want to point out, my concern still would remain the same, that if you allow the sidewalk to continue through there, you still have no bumpers for people who are passing through there. That's your decision, I just wanna, point that out. And also, for clarity of this, to make sure that everybody understands, the sidewalk to the east is on the fire district property now. Nobody seems to know why.
Sidewalk to the west, you mean?
To the west, I'm sorry. Sidewalk to the west is entirely on the fire district property. There, from our research and everything we can see, it is not, there are no easements in place. Now, somebody said, in an email, it stated that it appears as though this could be done like an easement, like was done on the west side. That is not the case. So I don't know if that should be
When was it put in?
solidified.
When was it put in?
During the construction of this. It was originally designed from our plans, that sidewalk was to be on the other side of that yellow line.
Oh,
But there clearly isn't any space there.
I see.
So what is,
Well, there's no.
what is this
Oh, only part
concrete
of it is.
that is below the yellow line that is not sidewalk? That just,
That's where the grass used to be.
oh, and that's what you guys filled in?
Yes.
And is that curbed?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and what we see is, David, just it will be a second, when I look at this property line, part of that sidewalk is on fire district
Small part,
property,
yeah.
small part, but the other is, whatever, so.
Some of
Other
it
than
is.
the
some of
county
it's-
property, so.
Well, my guess is the city, I looked through the files today. My guess, Aaron, and you can help me fill in the gaps here. Did the city buy the land originally?
For the fire
That land?
station?
Yeah,
No.
the city never bought the land initially?
Fire
It was
district.
always fire district land? Okay, I
The,
didn't,
the original land there was donated by one of our members.
Hmm.
The fire, one of our volunteers years ago donated the land.
The firehouse.
Then, yep.
the city helped assemble the land and there was the zoning change and all that. I found that in the files. So I don't know how it happened that ended up on what's now fire district property. If it was always fire district property, then somehow a
That
sidewalk
would
got
have been
added
the
there.
old EMS property.
And the EMS was that, but is that city,
Right
that's,
there.
but that's city owned, right?
Yeah,
An old
EMS is
house
city
there to
owned.
start out with.
So
Yeah.
maybe this was built on city property initially, but who knows? The point is, today it exists on fire district property.
David, you had a point.
Yeah, the notion of bollards or some device for making it safer to cross that area or to keep cars out of that area is something that ought to be considered.
You want to put that in the motion?
Well,
Or
where
not
would
yet?
you have them? I don't understand what you're advocating, David.
I think
They do make a hazard for the truck operation.
Right.
but they're retractable.
Do they go up and down?
You mean across the
They
fire?
can
When the
No,
trucks,
because
when the garage doors are going up, the bollards are going down.
Yeah, that's how I just
That
No,
would
there
be-
are retractable bollards.
No, I know there are.
But
There
those are
but they
pricey.
don't work in ice.
You back in too?
We drive into there and then back into the structure.
Yeah.
There are vehicles on the far right side that drive straight through to the back, that's our brush truck.
Right.
So something at either end of the apron that says caution or something for pedestrians, but also something that gives an object that if anybody thinks of going across into the apron, are going to have a rude awakening.
But
Be in favor of that.
You would be what?
We'd be in favor of that, okay.
On each end of apron, so he's saying west of the you're not saying on the concrete, are you?
we want people to be able to walk from the east side
Yes,
to the front door and to eventually to this path.
right.
Or crosswalk.
Right.
Are there any solutions that I mean, I'm assuming that there are a lot of fire departments that have a wide apron. Have you seen any creative things that have been done in other cities?
The only thing since this discussion that we've researched is the possibility of putting a flashing sign
Okay.
to make it on vehicles traveling to the west would be aware of when we're training on the front apparatus bay. When we're responding, when we're leaving, we can trigger that to flash so that people can slow down and not,
Fine.
I was thinking
So
of,
something like that.
That will be a better
Bollard or
choice,
something.
right?
No, I think.
I was trying to
somebody
think if
walking
there
across
was,
there could trigger it,
is
just
there
like a-
anything like what they have at, when you go to rent a car, you know, where you can drive over, but you can't drive back, but that would be retractable, like something small and low to the
But they go
ground.
both ways across it, that's the problem.
Right, it would have to be retractable, like it'd have to be able to go into the ground.
That would
That's $1 million
smash
idea.
people's,
I
that
mean,
would smash people's
I don't
tires.
I'm just
we want
thinking
to do
outside the
that.
box
Yeah.
here.
I'm wondering about something like the, the approach at sidewalks, to signal that, you know, the ramp, the yellow pad.
Oh, the pet head,
The rapid rectangular flashing beacon.
No.
You're saying in the sidewalk, the handicap?
Correct, something like
Just a
that,
rumble
that
strip, a
just
rumble strip.
signals your, something
Oh, built into the ramp, into the.
built into the end of the sidewalk at each end of the,
Show that you're crossing an apron.
correct.
Or actually have that built across the entire ramp.
Across the entire ramp.
A rumble strip type.
Rumble strip,
I don't,
cobblestones.
that's hard for the trucks, I think.
Okay, so why don't you, would you want to work on this and come up with some suggestion for the plan commission, city council, whatever, so?
I mean, ultimately, if council approves, then we still have another round of design where the county would submit the detailed design, right?
I would
This is
think.
being
it's
designed
Strand
by
that's doing it.
Strand, yep.
Strand's doing it.
And this would only be a possibility if they go with your recommendation versus Public Works recommendation.
If council would go with, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, more questions? Yes, Jennifer?
Is there a way that when it goes to council, the city planning can bring some concepts about improving safety at the fire station driveway? Maybe do a little research to see if there are some ideas out there?
Yes, put it in there, so let's make that happen. I thought Jennifer was going to say, let's have a meeting and replace the city council members with the plan commission on that day.
At the fire station.
At the fire station.
I mean, it is, I've walked that before, it is helpful to actually walk it and see it.
Yeah.
Vehicles are moving pretty fast.
They are.
Too fast.
Okay, so any more discussion? The vehicles are moving too fast and they shouldn't, so let's, and any more questions or comments? Otherwise, we are ready to vote.
Well,
And I'm
so
gonna-
I-
Clarify the motion.
That's what I was
Yes.
just gonna do, thank you. So you're recommending selection of option C with the sidewalk extending, to the west, you know, to the western intersection, and requesting staff research ways to improve, what's the language used, Jen?
Safety at the apron of the fire station.
And just to clarify, option C from the November 20th memo, shown as figure 3. Because there's been different names of different options and I
Yep.
get confused.
Sorry, go on, Chief.
Yes, go ahead.
I do believe that if that was possible, they would have continued that in that option. I believe there's another option
They would have
that
continued.
allows the sidewalk to continue. They stopped the sidewalk in that drawing for a reason.
Right, and that's the property ownership issue.
And we will deal with that issue, so,
I think there's an option,
B, or,
It was an
Other
original
option.
option.
Sharp-
Option B has a
sharper-
smaller turn.
it's the sharper taper, that's the one that I mentioned earlier, where is that?
Option B
Option
does not,
B,
Oh,
does not show a sidewalk.
Uh,
It's a taper.
um,
Shortened,
We may not have an option that we're interested in here.
but we can
Well,
vote. I mean, we made clear we want option
oh,
C
well, that
with a
is a
sidewalk.
sidewalk, that's the all way, all
It's-
along
No,
there.
that's not a sidewalk.
I
Travel
don't see one at this
What is
point.
that one there? What is
The
that?
difference there is that one has a shortened eastbound left
Exactly,
turn
that's the-
bay,
that's
and the
the
other one has a full left turn.
They had considered an option, maybe if we went to the, if you really wanna see it, we can probably find it in the project file, but they had considered one that had a sharper taper,
I still don't think,
and that was something that the engineers did not.
I don't even think we need to fix that intersection.
The shorter left turn lane is, you know, also something that's a factor. I don't know how this was, what assumptions are made for how many vehicles this stores, but they wanted the longer left turn lane, so that, obviously, the idea is to accommodate through traffic. So,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. There is a shorter option that, as Chief Harris is mentioning, there is an option that I don't see in this memo, but it was in a previous drawing. that shows.
That's the one
sure.
listed as option 5
Yeah,
in a memo that we didn't see.
Okay, but do we want to make sure?
And option 5 is the option, the one you're referencing, I believe, is the one the fire commission approved.
Right, that's the one, that's where I saw the option 5, it's in the fire commission minutes, and it referenced a
pull that
Strand
one up.
memo that we didn't have in our packet.
all right, yeah, let's pull that up just so that we get this.
And then after this motion, I'm gonna make another one with regard to this.
Is,
So the option 5, do the top one there, Public Works letter, I think that.
Okay,
Yeah, this is the one referenced in the fire commission minutes is,
figure 5?
or option 5. This is the,
That one's steeper, that might, I don't, yeah, figure 5, is that it?
that's the one that was referenced in the fire commission minutes, was figure 5 of the October 2nd memo. That's why we should always make sure we're giving the proper date of each memo.
As it states,
This is no
impacts
sidewalk.
of the fire station driveway were avoided.
Yeah, this is no driveway, this is no sidewalk, though. This is just no impact on the geometrics of the fire
Company driveway,
driveway.
the fire district driveway, yeah. Fire station.
You
Well,
need a pedestrian connection. I don't know how you're gonna do it. That's,
need it.
we leave that to the design wizards to figure out, but that's what it needs to happen.
But this one, so this one's a sharper taper and it has a shorter left turn lane. That's what I am seeing here.
Well, can we just add option 3, option ABC, C, in order to slow traffic? Or put, put the reason why we're picking that one.
Traffic calming?
Because traffic-
Or just let the minutes reflect the strong, that was gonna be a second motion, is that we make a clear motion to council and public works
To slow traffic.
that we
Okay.
need to slow traffic,
Okay, we could do that
whatever's
separately.
possible to slow down traffic in that area.
Okay, whatever we want to do, we have to make something very clear. Now it seems like we are at all over the place, so it's just,
Right, so you have the
we
motion.
have to make one recommendation, we can't make 5, 6
Are you
recommendations,
staying
so.
with option C? Is that what I'm hearing?
If option,
Okay, option
if
C.
option C provides a full pedestrian access.
Yes, okay.
But that will require, I think, would require, the sidewalk to straddle a portion
Right.
of, a corner of fire district property.
And we
Right,
can,
and our recommendation is,
we can work
need
that
pedestrian
out,
connection.
because I mean, it is for their,
Connection.
it is for the fire district. I mean, it is, you have to have this to go up to their east side of the sidewalk. And, I mean, it's, it's in their own interest, so I don't see any problem there, so. But city will pay for the sidewalk.
So recommending option C with the sidewalk extending to the west, based on a desire to accommodate pedestrian activity and slow traffic, basically.
To
Yes.
the entrance to the fire station,
Sorry?
to the pedestrian entrance to the fire station,
nope, to the path, to the proposed path.
Yeah.
proposed path, all right.
But based on the rationale of slowing traffic and accommodating pedestrians.
Trying to increase safety, Mark, by slowing the traffic. Not safety for the cars, safety for the pedestrians.
Well, right.
Do you,
Trying to improve safety.
do you really think that the proposed, in 10 years, we have done nothing there? And I looked at that proposed path, number one, the proposed path is 10 feet wide. And if you were to look at the slope, there's a drainage in there and there's a swale in there to control the stormwater. We have a bike path right along the Parmenter Street and, I don't know, you want to be, do everything that you can do for the bike path there, but I don't really think that that's really the place for a bike path there, and we haven't done a thing for 10 years, and you should go and look at that. So it's a storm swale and the other system there
Well,
in place.
What's on our
Fire-
adopted bike and pedestrian plan?
Well, we can change it. I think if you made a mistake, it doesn't mean that you have
Well,
to keep that mistake.
and the path to Tiedemann's Pond wasn't in the bike ped plan, and we overcame a swale and a hill there too. So obviously
one?
engineers, the one that you advocated, the one by Fortune
Oh.
Drive, you know, that overcame a steep slope and things like that. So, you know, those are, the idea for the bike ped plan is to show connectivity and linkages. That's, you know, it didn't get into design issues for a specific.
Yeah.
Right now, we don't have to do anything with the sidewalk west of the
Right.
apron.
Oh, okay,
We
all
want,
right.
we want linkages and connection between major nodes of activity within the city and environmental amenity.
As long as it's a complete road, I think that's good. I think.
Complete street,
Complete street, yes. Are we ready to vote now? So,
yes.
Yes.
so you know what we are voting on? Option 3 with the complete, complete road with the sidewalk going up to where it is now. And then what else? Then you guys are going to do some research to find that.
To improve safety at the fire
improve
station
safety
driveway
at the fire
entrance.
station driveway entrance, and
Yeah.
what else is there in the motion now?
You just
Just
summed
That's
said,
it.
yeah.
Okay, all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Even Abby is in favor of it, looks like.
So I want to make a second motion, just for the
Okay,
record,
Okay, all right.
that the Plan Commission recommend to council that regardless of which road design option is chosen, that Plan Commission strongly recommends maintaining pedestrian access from Parmenter Street to the proposed path.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion on that.
Because what I mean by the motion is, if they stay with Public Works and go with option A, which we don't prefer, we still want to strongly recommend sidewalk access.
Well, at least in my view, the sidewalk should go to the east side of the fire station. at
That's not
least.
what Kurt's saying.
Yeah,
My
I know,
motion
I
is
know,
to-
I know.
To
I'm-
maintain pedestrian access, I didn't say sidewalk, but maintain pedestrian access from Parmenter Street all the way to the proposed path.
Okay, so the pedestrian access, not necessarily the sidewalk, so. Okay, yes, any questions or input on
So
this
the
one?
motion is
To recommend
Which
to
roadway?
council that regardless of which road design option is chosen, the Plan Commission strongly recommends, maintaining
Maintain
pedestrian
pedestrian
access from
access.
Parmenter Street to the proposed path on the west of the fire district property,
okay.
or
Any-
to the west of the fire
From
district property.
Parmenter Street to Cayuga ramp
Cayuga
intersection.
Port ramp, Cayuga ramp. I'm not even sure what it's called anymore.
Okay.
The Cayuga ramp,
Cayuga and ramp intersection.
Cayuga and ramp
The
intersection.
Highway 12 ramp. That intersection.
So, you know, I'm really a little bit concerned about the bike path. There's a no bike path right along the University Avenue from Branch Street to until here, right? So what is the bike path going to be doing?
The idea of the bike
Well,
path, if you,
it-
my original memo is to.
Another issue, good.
Yeah.
Actually, can
Okay.
I,
Not now.
Okay,
can I
all right,
can I
all right.
rephrase the memo, connection to the ramp? Actually, connection to the proposed trail as outlined in the 2009 bicycle and pedestrian plan. So it referenced the specific connection in the plan. Yeah, rather than to the ramp, it's to connect to the trail, proposed trail in the 2009 bicycle and pedestrian plan. Because I realize we don't actually want to go all the way to the ramp, we just want to go to the trail.
Fair enough.
Well, questions or comments on this one? David seems happy. Jennifer, Wayne, everybody happy here?
Yep.
And I know both these guys are really happy on this side of the.
We're all happy.
All right, then all those in favor of
I've been
this,
dreaming of this.
all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes, yes, so. Okay, so anybody wants to make any other motion related to this one? Leaf, you have anything?
no.
Just a motion to express appreciation, the chief and all his volunteers for keeping us safe, but,
Yeah, they do a great
I
job.
mean, that, we don't want that to get lost in here, that.
Do we have a second?
I'm not recording that.
All right.
Duly noted.
So we are on to the next item, the Community of Bishop Bay Utility Agreement Revisions, Middleton Utilities District Number 1. I guess you guys had a chance to look at it?
The Public Works Committee commented on this at their meeting last night, and I think Abby's pulling up the minutes.
Oh, you want the minutes? Yep.
Yeah, they agreed to whatever Sean was saying. There are the very small modifications there, so.
I also had some interaction with Sean Stosky
Okay.
about it, and had a memo addressing some of my concerns. So, I'm very concerned about this because I believe that, if we extend, allowing a 2-year delay without requiring some guarantee that that the water line is built at that point, I think we've lost our leverage in terms of requiring that it be built at that time. Just to quote a couple things that Sean had expressed back to me, he said that under this agreement, the town side of the development would still have a single source of water supply through one meter station, so they'd have to consider that risk to their customers. He said that the temporary water supply connection, if it was approved, would not obviate the master plan construction of the water loop improvements. He said that there's still some risk with the amendment, that if, let's say, the concern is right now, there's an incentive for the developer to complete the construction of the water main as part of the development. My concern is we allow the lots to be developed, and in 2 years, if the developer says he doesn't have the money at that point,
The lot's already built.
the lots are already
There's no
built.
incentive.
We've lost our
Got his
leverage.
money.
And so what I believe would need to be done, I'm not opposed to granting an extension in time, but there should be a guarantee associated with that. And the issue I raised with Sean was whether a surety bond should be required to guarantee the construction of the line no later than the approved extension date. He said that if that was the case, he said the alternate line that would only serve the Middleton portion of the development could be built for approximately $180,000. He thought that a $200,000 surety bond would ensure that the water line would in fact then, there would be resources to build the line one way or another. So what I believe we should do is, if we decide to grant the extension, require that the developer secure a surety bond in the amount of at least $200,000 that would go towards guaranteeing the construction of either
of
the
the full loop.
completion of either the loop or
Or
the
the
alternate line.
So
So,
this is what I know, I was in some of those discussions, so this, he has approval for only those 85 or 86 lots, and that
Right.
is it.
Right.
If he wants to do, thank you, Aaron, that was very nice of you. And if they want to do anything more, they got to have a loop, period.
Correct.
They cannot, so I mean, you know, this is already approved by the city council, the 85 or 86, whatever
Right.
it is. And if we want to do anything more, the loop is required, period. That's gone to this amendment as well.
But even if we get to that point, if the 86 lots are built and the rest of the development is abandoned, at that point, there's no redundancy in the water supply that's supplied in the water loop servicing the community of Bishop's Bay, which is part of the utility design. And losing redundancy in the loop is a significant loss in what is planned as part of the development.
So what you are saying is that that loop should be built, doesn't matter what.
Well, either the loop, or if the loop is not built, then at a minimum,
alternate.
that alternate supply line, the 12-inch line that Sean said. So we need guarantee that at a minimum, that line is built.
I have,
Yes, leave.
why are they requesting a 2-year extension? What's going on? I don't understand
Well,
I understand the request, but I don't understand why the
Yeah.
request.
Right.
yeah, because the development is, he's not selling those lots, so he, I mean, you know, he may not,
He doesn't want to put in the water loop until he's got some lots.
Capital to work.
yeah, so he may, my feeling is he's not going to build after this, it's gonna be it, so.
Wait,
And if that's the case, then we really do have a concern, because the lots could be sold by the developer to builders, and then he says, I'm out of here.
No, those, he can only sell 86, and those are
Correct.
already
Right.
covered by what.
But they
I
can sell
understand
86
he
and
can't
not do
build
those.
anymore, but even if those are built, we still need that second connection to provide a loop rather than a branch system, which is lower rated in fire protection.
So,
I think you have a way forward. What you're
the surety
proposing.
bond. In fact, I was gonna ask a general question. When a subdivision is approved, I mean, in other states where I've worked and taught, it's always standard that you have to do a surety bond for all the public improvements. In case the developer sells it or leaves, you just execute the bond and make the public improvements, streets and the gutter and.
So do we?
Do we
have-
do that?
Oh, we do, yeah.
Yeah, we,
So he already has a bond on this
Well-
public improvements? Or is there a developer's agreement on this property?
yes.
Because
I'm not an expert on, this is, Eileen is really.
is
handled
there a
this with Sean,
developer's
but-
agreement that would, so again, if the developer
Facilitate the
sells
building of
or
it,
goes
of the-
bankrupt, does the developer's agreement cover that so that, the city could go in, execute a bond
My understanding
or a
is that was
financial
the-
arrangement and do the infrastructure themselves?
My understanding is that as this was planned several years ago now, that all these things were taken into account.
But
Right.
the alternate line must not be, because Wayne had a conversation with Sean,
Right.
and if it was already covered by a surety bond, Sean would have mentioned that, and
Well, that's true.
So could we amend it to say either a surety bond or other financial guarantee sufficient to the engineer? I mean, if there's a developer's agreement that already has a
Let me quote
finan-
Sean's
Okay, yeah.
message. He
Public
said,
financial instrument.
he says that, let's see. I'll read the full last paragraph. He says, I understand there's still some risk with the amendment as proposed, in that the developer could determine near 2021 that they won't be in a position to construct even the shorter alternate connection water main. In that case, no further plats could be approved, but we would also continue to have somewhat lower fire flows than ultimately planned, parentheses, though still satisfactory to MRD, and we would continue to have the risk of a single source of water supply to the city customers. If the city were to require the developer some surety for future construction, I think it should be acceptable for the amount to be based on construction of the alternate connection, about $200,000, not the full water loop improvements, about $3.3 million.
Then that sure sounds like he doesn't think there's a existing financial guarantee, so
Right.
that clarifies.
So we're gonna make that motion to.
So I'll second his motion.
Yeah.
To approve the amendment, subject
So-
to,
So could I give you specific language? I
yeah,
recommend?
please do.
I move approval of the proposed two-year delay to construction, subject to the agreement, including a requirement for the developer to secure a surety bond of at least $200,000 that guarantees completion of either the water loop improvement or alternate connection no later than November 15th, 2022, which is the date that's in the...
I'll second. I thought you had already made the motion, so I'm just.
No,
There you go.
but I just
Okay.
recorded it, so,
Any discussion?
thank you.
Any discussion? Okay, well,
With everything, this is great.
all those in favor of the motion say aye.
I,
Anyone opposed? So
Kurt,
the-
you seconded?
Yes.
Okay, need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Need a second? Okay, we are adjourned.